South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, along with Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott, had a ceremonial signing in Spartanburg yesterday for two bills focused on children. House Bill 4624, called the Help Not Harm Bill, bans certain medical care for transgender youth, while House Bill 3424, or the Child Online Safety Act, restricts access to pornographic websites for minors by requiring the websites to have age verification. Legislators involved with passing of these two bills say the bills will ensure children are protected in South Carolina. These two pieces of legislation were supported by the Family Caucus, and on our guest line today, Representative John McCravy, the moderator of the Family Caucus, is with us. Welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Joey. Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure. Now, notice I called you the moderator because I now know that you're the moderator of the Family Caucus.
That's right. That's right.
I know we talked about this recently, but again, congratulations on the passage of two very important bills. Take a moment and just take a victory lap here on Sunrise, Carolina, because you deserve it. Talk about this legislation and why it's important.
Well, first of all, the Help Not Harm bill was our number one priority this year in the Family Caucus. And, you know, it will protect our children from these puberty blockers and these cross-sex hormones that are used off-label, by the way, and surgery to basically mutilate and remove body parts with the mistaken belief that somehow they can change their sex. And they can't do it. It's a big lie. And it causes permanent damage. You know, we went this summer, we were educated by doctors about the permanent damage that these drugs cause. You know, they cause sterilization, a myriad of other side effects, and, you know, of course, surgery is permanent as well.
Yeah.
And so we've had testimony after testimony that was heartbreaking from people who had this and regretted it. And we knew that 80%, the only reliable study that talks about this is it says 80% of children who are confused about their sex will identify with their biological sex by the time they become an adult. So we know that that's probably the best course of action, is just to leave the kids alone.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this stops this what I would call experimental surgery that's terrible. And we were able to do this, you know, as a team effort, Joey. I know the Family Caucus definitely was a factor in this, and we got behind it. We made this a priority. But I want to tell you, just like our governor says, he told me when he was elected that he wanted to work together with other like-minded conservatives to get good legislation passed in South Carolina. And that's what this is a result of.
Yeah, yeah.
Davey Hyatt sponsored this bill. He took a lot of heat from the left. And you know Representative Hyatt, he's a tough bird, and he can take it. And Merle Smith got on board and co-sponsored the bill, and Palmetto Family and all these other groups helped us out. And actually, this was a bill promoted by Alliance Defending Freedom all over the nation. We're lucky to have Tanya Shelnut here in South Carolina, who was able to help us through this. You know, we never doubted that the governor and the lieutenant governor would sign this bill.
Yeah.
So, you know, this weird philosophy, these weird ideologies, like the American Pediatric Association that apparently has been taken over by the left, they came out and said the other day that the words masculine and feminine are misleading and should not even be used.
Wow. Wow. That's just how nuts things are for us right now. And after the signing, I was reading some things online, some of the response. And I want to get your response to some of the opponents of this bill who said that it would be dangerous for children not yet ready to tell their parents they're transgender. So when is it okay for other adults, teachers, for example, to know something this important about a child but not tell the parents?
Yeah, you know, we've got to get away from this not trusting the parents thing. I mean, parents are not terrorists. You know, parents have the best interest of their child at heart. 99.9% of parents want to do the best for their children. And if they don't know, they can't do that. Yeah. So they need to know. And all this bill says is actually it was added by the Senate, and I thought it was a good addition to it, is that, you know, well, let me back up. Yeah. So teachers are not necessarily required, but the administration, when a child says, hey, I'm identifying as a different sex, or the child informs them that a boy, for instance, says, I want to be called by a girl's name.
Yeah.
Then the parents have to be notified. That's all we're asking. Any good teacher or administrator would do that anyway. So I would want, any parent would want that courtesy to be done.
Sure.
But there's no onerous responsibility in that. I'll mention this. I had a pediatrician call me while we were passing this bill. He's the head of a big practice, and he said, I trained 7 years ago in Columbia. This would have been considered child abuse 7 years ago.
Yep.
He said, we never heard of any of this when I trained as a pediatrician. He said, so the left has taken over some of these associations.
Yep. And guess what, Representative John McCravy? It still is child abuse. So nothing has changed. So other than what the left, some of their definitions of things. So job well done, and kudos to the Family Caucus. All right, so let's talk about House Bill 3424, the Child Online Safety Act.
Yes, sir. Well, this bill has been passed in several states, and what it does, it requires these bad websites, I hate to even use the word, but porn websites, to engage in strict age verification before they can allow people to access their site. And what that has resulted in, it's prevented not only minors from viewing these pornography sites, but it's also caused the pornography sites to say, hey, this isn't worth it. We're just going to not have this service in your state. So I'm all for that. And here's the thing. It's like Representative Travis Moore, who sponsored this bill. It's like he said, he held up his phone and he said, look, we have bouncers at bars and at adult places that will not allow children to come in without an ID.
Yep. Good point.
He said, there's no bouncer on this phone.
Yep.
And he said, we've got to stop that, and we've got to stop kids from getting on. The average kid is now 11 years old that gets on and looks at pornography. That means there's kids younger than 11 looking at it.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a shameful thing on our society to even have allowed this to happen.
Yep.
And so this bill would prevent that. I want to give kudos to Representative Travis Moore, who stepped out on his own and filed this bill. And this year, our Family Caucus adopted it as a priority, and he's a member of our caucus. And Speaker Merle Smith supported it. Palmetto Family, all the others got together, and we were able to get this bill passed. And I'll say this, it passed the last day of the session, and I want to say that Travis Moore was up there fighting for it to get it passed the last day of the session behind the scenes.
Yep.
And so he deserves a lot of credit for this. And also, the Heritage Foundation, and James Quarles is our legislative affairs for the Heritage Foundation in South Carolina. And he deserves some credit here too.
Yep.
So I tell you what, it's a team effort again. And all the Family Caucus people got on board with this. When we get 50 legislators on board right off the bat, we got good things going on. And when our speaker and our leadership supports it, we can get anything done.
Yeah.
So I want to give credit where credit's due.
On our guest line, Representative John McCravy from Greenwood, and also moderator of the Family Caucus. And as you started this conversation, it takes a team effort. It takes a lot of people working together to pass this type of legislation. And as you said, one of these bills, the Child Online Safety Act, literally passing the final day of the session, that just means you never give up, right? You keep pushing.
That's exactly right. And there was some differences, what I would call petty differences between the House and the Senate on this. We had to put our children first and put aside any little petty differences that we may have. And the speaker did the right thing on that, and he deserves credit for that.
Yep.
So we appreciate him. We appreciate Travis Moore up there fighting for it.
Yeah. If you'd like additional information on other issues that the Family Caucus has worked on in the past, working on presently, go to their website, scfamilycaucus.org, scfamilycaucus.org. And our final minute or so together here today, when we talked last, you were having your Faith and Family Legislative Conference at North Greenville University this past weekend. Give us a quick update on that. Were you pleased with how things went and the turnout?
We were. We pretty much filled up the room. We had great speakers from all over the nation, like Jason Rapert, the founder, Senator Rapert's founder of National Association of Christian Lawmakers. He's from Arkansas. He flew in. We had the president of National Right to Life, Carol Tobias, there. We had Tanya Shellnut there. We had this James Quarles that talked about this bill, the Online Safety Act, and other bills from the Heritage Foundation. We just had an all-star cast and crew here and group of speakers, and so we were very pleased with the way it went, and you know, we had the new president from Palmetto Family there.
Yes.
And so we had a great time. It was a great time of networking. It was a great time to learn what's going on, you know, in the fight for life in all these different areas. And it was encouraging to be with these people who are the leaders in our country, some of the greatest leaders that we've had advocating for these bills.
Yeah. Well, job well done. I'm sorry that I missed it. I hope you'll be doing another one in the future, and I'll be able to make it there. Representative John McCravy, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for the work that you do, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you so much.